Hello, loves. Zelda here. I am here to do a week ahead tarot reading for you. You will pick the skull that calls to you most, and I will then give you a 3-chord reading that I have picked out ahead of time. So there's 3 little stacks of cards, and you're going to pick the skull, following your sacred powers of intuition. The decks that I am going to be using today is the Oak, Ash, and Thorn deck. That's the tarot deck. Also the StarDragons Oracle deck. And then the other one is the Prairie Majesty Oracle deck. So 2 Oracle decks and a tarot deck. So the first pile is Odessa. She does not show off her full glory in this type of lighting. Let's see if I can give her a little bit of extra. Yeah, there you go. She's super flashy. She has a really loving presence. And she has a star. She's carved by Leandro de Souza. So that is Odessa. If Odessa calls to you, that's pile number 1. Pile number 2 is Danu. Danu is a large clear quartz skull, also carved by Leandro de Souza. Really good for scrying, and is a magical child. You can see size comparison. So different, but bigger is not always better. But Danu is amazing. So if Danu calls to you, that is pile number 2. And then pile number 3 is Ekka. Ekka is a Carawhite skull, unknown carver, but a very rare material for skulls to be made of. She has some little rainbows in her cheek and face. So if Ekka calls to you, Ekka is pile number 3. One little thing that I want to mention before you jump ahead to your pile number is that without realizing it, all 3 of these skulls have slight chipped or imperfections to them. Some of them happened with me, some of them happened and I have no idea how they happened, and some of them happened before they came to me. But all 3 of them have this, and they're also all 3 some of the most perfectly imperfect skulls that I work with. I come to them again and again. They are all really beloved to me, and spend a lot of time with me. Of course, I work with all of my skulls. I try and rotate them in. I work with them for a little bit and rotate them through. But I just thought that was a really beautiful message today about working through imperfections as a part of what makes you you. And I am curious to see how that comes up. But I just wanted to kind of share that because it was just kind of like a synergistic thing that I realized as I was finally taking pictures of them to upload for the video that I put on Instagram so that people can find this. So if you have picked pile number 1, stay here. And if you have picked pile number 2 or 3, you can look at the description and find the timestamp, and you can skip ahead to that part. Of course, you are always, always welcome to watch the entire video. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do encourage you to use your powers of intuition, your powers of discernment, both to choose the skull in the reading that is meant for you, but also to use your sacred powers of discernment to know what of these messages are intended for you and what of them are not. And that is absolutely okay. And before we get started, I'm going to spritz some of the Platinum Dragon just to call in our spirits and guides. calling in our beloved dead, our ancestors, lineage, spirit teams, and guides to support us in receiving whatever messages are meant for us, in discerning what is not ours to take, in healing and elevating and holding the wisdom of our past, present, and future selves in this and every timeline. Okay. If you're here, you chose Odessa, and I am going to reveal the cards. Okay. So the first card is Space 5. See, this being has those rings on his arm. A very clear message kind of came through right away for this card. The Hermit is the tarot card. And Strut, a killdeer, is the Prairie Majesty Oracle. And the Prairie Majesty Oracle has this question to ask. And the question is, am I carrying myself with love? Am I carrying myself with love? What immediately came through with these cards to me, especially with Space and the Hermit together, is, are you giving yourself time in peaceful meditation, in self-celebration, in your soul practices, whether that is art making or time in nature or time in prayer? Are you giving yourself that time to walk your path and to be able to really center yourself? And this question feels like this is time that you are taking for you. With the Hermit card, there can absolutely be this quality of space, and it feels like emphasized because of the Space card that comes along with it. But the additional component feels like the Hermit takes things one step at a time. The little lightning bug, little fairy being that is lighting the way for this hedgehog, is only lighting one step in advance. We in fact see a lot more of the path that the hedgie has traveled already than we do of the path that lies ahead. And taking things one step at a time is all that is required of you. You can just do the next thing that is asked of you from the universe. And there doesn't need to be this incredible understanding of where you're going to end up. In fact, as much as I tend to be someone who doesn't always love surprises, especially challenging ones, I do love some routine and some regulation in my system personally. But knowing the end of our path might alter how we experience this moment. Each step of your path is important. The destination is only one tiny node or point. And after that, unless it is the end of this lifetime, after that, there is a new destination. And so really cherishing each step. And this question of like, Strut, am I carrying myself with love, feels like, how do you honor yourself along every step of the way? How are you celebrating you? How are you taking up space? How are you leading with your heart? I really see the heart here and the radiating. It feels like, how is this care and tenderness that you have for yourself radiating outwards? This is a perfect one. I'm not surprised that Odessa chose to share these cards with us, because Odessa's message so strongly oftentimes feels like a message of the journey, and the path that we walk to our own soul. And that there's this encouragement to hold yourself more and more tenderly, to tap more deeply into yourself, and to allow your magic to unfold. Odessa has really powerful and potent high priestess energy and empress energy, these kind of divine channeling. And the hermit, although there can be this kind of inward yummy quality to that, or sometimes like an isolation even, or a disorientation, um, oh, I'm shown this image. So when I was in a big hermit moment in my life, I did a meditation in a class that I was in. And in this meditation, I saw myself moving through the mist and dancing, and that I could only see a little bit. And every time I would dance and express myself, it's like it moved, like the mist was dancing with me, and it would move and engage with me. And I would see a little bit more of where I needed to go. And it was not straight, and it was not determined to like get somewhere. It was this organic, body-centered, heart-centered process. And that is the image that I have, and that I feel like Odessa is sharing with me for you, is how can you allow your movement to be a dance, to dance forward in your life, to carry yourself with love, to radiate your heart outwards, and to give yourself the space to do that. If you're not feeling connected to like, well, I'm not feeling self-loving, I'm not like trusting my path right now, that's okay. This is also a message in many ways of how do you give yourself the space to tap into that? Not that you should be doing anything different, that you are, but that sometimes we feel that way because we are claustrophobic in our path, and there are things crowding and boxing us in. I also see it potentially being helpful to like return to what is right in front of you. If you are feeling misaligned, how can you like clear away the clutter and clear away parts of your schedule that aren't serving you? I know that that is oftentimes like a privilege to have time. Freedom can be a huge privilege in our world. But this is something that I would empower you to reclaim for yourself, even if those are little moments in the morning or evening. With the hermit, I also feel like, and strut and the space, it really feels like a walking meditation could be something that benefits you in this time, that it's something that could help you move forward in this like paced way, and that you may find that inspiration or guides come to you in a way where you're just like out taking your morning walk, or having a cup of coffee while you go for a stroll, or walking with your animal if you have those. One of the things that I recently did was ask a guide to leave me feathers. And one time I went out for a walk right after I did that, and I found like 10, maybe more feathers. I have to count. But yeah, I do think that that would be a beneficial and supportive practice for you, is to go for a walk, see what shows up for you. You can do this anywhere. If you don't have a ton of access to nature, there is lots of spiritual nature even in cities. So I just encourage you to seek that out. Let's see if Odessa has any other messages to share for you, Group 1. Okay. The message that she's sharing is that by tending to the stable foundation of your heart space and allowing that field to radiate outwards, you're creating a really solid ground for your third eye to open. So if you are developing intuitive gifts as well, I really see this like tending to heart space and self-care around this way to like pop open some of your intuitive gifts. If we are ungrounded and we have these kind of like spiritual emergency experiences, that can sometimes indicate a need to tend to like the lower chakras. And I really see the heart as this like hinge point. And so I see it like radiating outwards in that way. Maybe the meditations and walks could help you with that. Okay. Thank you so much, Group 1. I hope that this is supportive for you. I will be back next week, and hope that you have a lovely time until then. If you are still here, that means that you are in group 2. Well, I think so. Perhaps. And that means that you chose Danu. Danu's never been in one of these videos before, and I'm actually really excited to be spending time with her. Sometimes I have skulls that take a little bit of time to blossom or open to, and I really love when they do. It feels like nurturing a very long-term intimate relationship where suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, we're so close. So I just wanted to share that little story about Danu for you. Your cards. Your dragon card is challenge, standing up for your rights. The tarot card is the 7 of Cups. And your Prairie Majesty Oracle is the Eastern Cottontail. The word is nurture. And the question that it poses is, what role is mothering energy playing in my life? So in this, I really feel the first message coming through is the desire to share a little bit about Danu. Danu is a river goddess. She is incredibly earthy and powerful. She has deep Queen of Pentacles energy in my experience. And she has this quality of running the water over as a healing balm and allowing these blockages and attachments to be cleansed almost in a baptismal kind of way. When I see these cards together, the message that is coming through, as peripheral as it may seem, is that there may be some mother wounds that are asking to be healed at this time through a powerful internal self-advocacy. This includes a So this doesn't necessarily feel like it means there's anything wrong with your relationship with your mother. I'm not saying you're going to have a conflict in that way, but I actually see it as more like perhaps there is a mother wound. So something in relationship to your maternal relationship when you were a child, or even your matrilineal ancestral inheritance, that you are carrying still and enacting in your life, that it is a pattern that you're actually working to rupture and interrupt. And that one of the ways that I feel called to share with you is with this challenge of standing up for your rights. It feels like this powerful, uprising of this part of yourself that is going to be able to orient towards a new path and actually shift that cycle potentially in a more rapid way than is otherwise than otherwise happens. Kind of like Danu's message feels so clear that like the healing is happening now. As you are watching this, if this is resonating with you, the healing is happening now, and you have the option to step onto a new path and create new patterns and cycles for yourself that are empowering, that are not relationally entrenched in the wounds you have experienced in the past. And that in doing that, that healing ripples backwards all the way down your matrilineal line and heals those ancestors. With the Seven of Cups here, I see these little acorns full of that. And part of it feels like this could be a message about each of these little acorn cups have something else, like an element like light and water and brightness and a pearl and some roses and a beautiful little snail and a gecko. You know, there's all of these different gifts. And part of this feels like acknowledging your unique gifts and emotional intelligence and specialness. Like sometimes there is a wound around not feeling witnessed in your unique specialness. Maybe this is brushed over. Maybe you felt like you had to put it aside to connect with a maternal figure, or maybe you had to be a parent to yourself or to your own mother earlier than you really needed to in an emotional way. Like the cups feel strong, and there feels like this desire to really tend to all of those overflowing cups of gifts, right? You right now, I'm getting the sense like not only are you being challenged to choose a new path, but you are also fully equipped to do this. And that feels like part of Danu's message is like, all you need to do is surrender to this path, to allow yourself to show up in this way and to choose something new. And the healing waters are going to carry the rest of this energy for you. And it's not going to feel like, okay, so I got a modification halfway through that sentence. It may feel like a challenge, but it is going to, once you have the courage and make that change, it's going to feel easeful, right? You're going to have passed that peak and it's going to ease and carry you forward. Kind of like you are moving against the current and you're going to turn a corner and the current's going to carry you. That's the imagery, the water imagery coming through with Danu. Danu is a potent deity energy, a goddess energy, and she wants me to share with you that she is present and able to work with you if you would like to call on her. If you are struggling and this really resonates with you, she wanted me to share with the people watching this video that she is able to be there with you and support you in this healing process and guide you. And that if you want to communicate with her, leave. I'm seeing a cup, the Seven of Cups. I'm seeing you put some liquid in a cup like water and maybe some flowers, like floating flowers in the water, and leaving that out on an altar space or a countertop or by the side of your bed, and inviting Danu to come and support you with her healing waters. Okay, pile 2. That feels like your message. I hope that Danu's healing waters support you moving forward and that you allow yourself to work with her if you feel called. Okay. I look forward to seeing you next week, group 2. If you would like to do another week ahead, you're welcome to subscribe so you get the notifications, and I post about it on my Instagram. Thank you so much. If you are here now, that means you're in pile number 3, or you are a rebel watching them all, but I'm going to speak to you as if you're pile number 3, since that's who this message is for. And that means you connected to Ekka and chose to receive some messages from her this week. I'm actually going to spritz this one more time. That last message was very powerful, and I'm wanting to give Ekka the space that she's asking for, and group 3 you as well. If you want to take a moment, I know that you probably just arrived, but just checking in, calling in your supports, your sense of presence, your attention is a force to be reckoned with. So placing it here. Your cards are dominance, believing in yourself, the 7 of Wands, and the Luna Moth, radiate. How can I be a light in the darkness? How can I be a light in the darkness? A word that is coming to mind is faith, and the connection and tether of faith to trust. That faith is not this wish or this, I mean, not that wishing isn't powerful magic as well, but it's not this thing that you kind of like throw out. It's this active process of engaging with your ability to feel and trust what your mind does not understand. And and to walk forward in that way, to continue even though you don't understand exactly what is happening, takes a huge amount of courage and a huge amount of trust in your intuition, in your guides, in the universe. And it can be very challenging and difficult to do if you have a history of feeling let down or experiencing trauma that disrupts that attachment to the secure attachment to the universe. Ekka's message feels like one of it being time to forgive. And not in a way where like forgive and forget, but this is actually feeling like forgive the parts of yourself that are holding you back. And this isn't to self-blame either, but that just felt like a really clear message that there is like forgiveness from others. It feels like Ekka shares this message almost of like when there are ties inside us that are like holding on to resentments or guilt or anger, that they're actually like holding an anchor line to the past. And that to let go of that is to forgive and engaging with that part of ourself. And it has nothing to do with whoever else. You don't have to forgive someone else. This is actually just letting go of that, because in order to kind of light up the like radiant quality that is being asked of you involves your full attention and focus. It's very interesting that at the beginning of this, I encouraged you to bring your attention back, and a timer just went off. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to come back. And this is such a funny thing to have happen, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, I've returned. So this feels totally relevant to this because I planned this pretty perfectly timing wise, and then something got thrown off. And the timer was alerting me to the fact that I had put something in the oven that I needed to take out. So I went and did that. But I felt a sense of frustration around this jolting of plans. And my attention was like suctioned over there. And this feels like a big part of Ekka's message, is that when we have that sectioning, when we're caught in like, wait, how did this happen? I don't want this to have happened. We're like resisting this forward momentum of like, this is what's happening. And so in order to bring that kind of self-trust, there needs to be a release. And so the message that I'm getting is in making a list for yourself of all the ways that you are a light in the darkness. All of the places that you are capable of witnessing your own power. And then any pieces of resistance that come up and say, no, that's not true. Those are the parts that I want to welcome in and provide a huge amount of tender love to. I want to invite those parts to also be alchemized into strengths. A place where you say, I'll give an example. A place where you say, you could have done better, is also a part that is striving, that supports you in striving and seeing areas for improvement. We can thank that part and peacefully allow it to be alchemized into the present moment and welcome it forward. This is not to negate that this can be an incredibly long healing process. This is just one step. This is what Ekka is sharing really strongly. And this also can really have to do with relationships in terms of like, if there is a wound that you are ruminating around, that is not a useful what are you sharing? It's not a useful allocation of your resources. And this is part of acknowledging that. So attention feels really important. Welcoming parts of you into the present feels really important. Building self-trust and faith, and empowering yourself to utilize tools like prayer or tools like affirmation or tools like potent reminders of your power are going to help you to make these different changes. When we befriend these parts of ourselves, they become these huge, incredible allies for us. Our criticism becomes a discerning wisdom. Our anxiety becomes a magical, expansive, creative force that can generate so many possible outcomes and solutions. The Seven of Wands, one of the things that I'm noticing is that this isn't a story that has come up for me before with the Seven of Wands, but I almost see, like Ekka is showing me that this fox really wants these wands to be like a light and is in the process of this building process, but has its mouth occupied. Yeah, it has this wand in its mouth. And so it's trying to like manage so many things. And so this feels like not dividing your attention in this way, your efforts, allowing yourself to be present and set things down so that you can re-put that attention. Yeah, that feels like the tie-in between these actually is how can I alight the fire in the darkness by putting down whatever is keeping me from setting that flame. Um, by putting down whatever is keeping me from being present in this moment with the light that already exists within me. I feel like a rising of heat in my body, and all of these have a lot of fire. This is a wand, even if there's not fire. Radiating is about being the light, and this one is just like really orangey and fiery. And I really feel that connection to like sacral flame and solar energy. And so I'm curious about things that help you to like stoke your inner flame, not to flare it so it's like a quick, but like to build it in a slow burning way. And so allowing you to have this like enduring process as well, that this is like a one step at a time, but also it is um a way of building yourself up. That feels like, how am I the light in the darkness? Well, I'm building and tending to my inner flame. And that's part of how I am the light in the darkness, is that I feed that inner flame. So I get curious about what feeds you, whether that is literal food that feeds you as my alarm went off and my food is ready, right? Also like what nourishes you in that way, what makes you feel radiant. There's two pieces then to that, right? What is obstructing the radiance that is actually within you? So moving and inviting that to participate in the radiance, as well as what feeds and nourishes that flame. This could be sexual or sensual energy. It could be a creative force energy. It could be spiritual energy. Also allowing your guides to support you. Believing in yourself because they believe in you. That feels like a really strong, sweet message of like, how am I the light in the darkness? Well, you are. You are also not the only light. You're not responsible for lighting up all of the darkness. You are surrounded by lights in the darkness. And you are able to believe in yourself because you are also not doing that alone. Your guides believe in you. They chose you. They want to work with you. They see how truly magnificent you are. So, for a message about attention that was alarmingly scattered initially, but I hope that that supports you in whatever ways feel useful to you. I just trust the process of what happens during these times, and so I hope that it feels supportive to you. And if not, as always, use your sacred powers of discernment to release and let go of whatever isn't meant for you. So thank you so much to every single person who watched this video, to everyone who has subscribed and continues to come back and engage. My absolute gratitude is there always. If you are ever interested in engaging with any of the other work that I do, it is super supportive for me to join the Patreon. Even at the initial $5 tier, you get altar messages and tarot scopes for the full and new moon. That is just for the Patreon, as well as I post updates and things like that there as well. There are also other tiers where you can receive a monthly 3-card reading or participate in the full and new moon rituals that I do with Reiki and energy healing. Also, if you would like to engage in your work with dragons and activate some of your dragon teams and your own dragon lineage, if that is the case for you, the next dragon portal is at the beginning of July, and you can find the information for that on my website. Thank you all so much. Sending so much abundance and blessings to you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.